When we were kids, we watched bikes on the road and felt excited by their sound and style. As we grew up, that excitement turned into curiosity and a dream to ride one ourselves. Eventually, this childhood fascination becomes the reason we want to buy a bike of our own, and when that desire becomes strong, we start thinking of every possible way to melt the hearts of our parents or the people around us so we can finally convince them to let us buy a two-wheeler. Finally, once you get that permission, you rush to the internet to search for the bike you like.
इतनी खुशी मुझे आज तक
In all that excitement, everything gets messed up. You stop worrying about the budget, whether the model is successful or how the brand is performing, and in this same rush, you also forget to think about whether you will be able to handle the problems that start coming after buying the wrong bike. In this video, I will show you the in-depth reality and save you from all the problems you will face before and after buying a new bike. Without wasting any time, let us dive straight into the first point. Why do you want her? What is the purpose of having her in your life? This can come from many reasons. Maybe you need her for daily commuting, taking you from point A to point B to point C and then back home. Some people want a bike only for touring, traveling long distances for several days. Others want something that handles both city traffic and weekend rides comfortably. In the Indian two-wheeler market, we have a huge variety of body styles. Each one is designed for a different type of rider. You will find sports bikes, adventure bikes, scramblers, tourers, cafe racers, cruisers, street bikes and many more. The first step is to understand your daily travel pattern and choose the body style that actually suits your life. This is where most people make mistakes. They choose a bike only because it looks attractive. Someone gets drawn to the sharp looks of a sports bike, rides it 30 kilometers every day, and later complains about discomfort and back pain. Some people take a city bike on weekend trips and face the same problem. So always make sure you buy a bike that truly matches the purpose you have in mind. Take city riding for example. In traffic, you are constantly moving at low speeds, and during this time the bike relies heavily on torque. When the engine runs on torque for a long period, it produces a massive amount of heat. You can actually hear the coolant and the fan working hard, almost as if the bike is gasping for breath. Now imagine you have bought a high-end naked bike like the Himalayan Adventure or a semi-adventure machine like the Dominar. You must be prepared to feel the heat from the engine kissing your legs, especially in the summer when you slowly realize the temperature at which your body gets cooked. But the same bike feels extremely comfortable on long journeys because the airflow constantly pulls away the heat from the engine as you ride forward, cooling your legs at the same time. At a steady speed, the bike starts running more on power than on torque, and this produces far less heat. To make things even simple for you, I have created a chart that will guide you in choosing the right body style for your needs. You can pause the video and take your time to read through it. This will help you understand each body style clearly and learn the purpose behind every design. Moving on to the next point, how to manage your budget, loan and finances when buying a bike. One important thing to remember is that spending money on a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler is never an investment. Whatever amount you put into a vehicle will never grow the way other assets do. Its value only goes down and you will never get back the full price when you sell it. So the real purpose of buying a two-wheeler is simple. It saves time, makes daily travel easier and gives us the freedom to go wherever we want. But many people still make mistakes by stretching their budget just because a bigger or more premium bike looks tempting. No matter how attractive a bike seems, you must control your emotions and stay within your budget. For example, if you want an adventure bike and your budget is 2 lakh, the Xpulse 210 becomes the most sensible choice. Now imagine you are a working professional earning 25,000 a month, you save 5,000, your household expenses are around 10,000 and another 10,000 stays aside for emergencies. Or imagine you are a college student and your father handles these expenses. In both cases the calculation is similar. You pay a down payment of 10,000 for the expense and your EMI for 4 years will be around 5,000. Even after paying this amount, you or your father will still have 20,000 left to manage daily life. Yes, some compromises will always be there, but overall the situation still feels manageable. But if you go beyond your limits and choose something like the Himalayan 450, the picture changes completely. Your down payment will jump to 20,000 and the EMI will nearly double to 10,000. That leaves only 15,000 to survive for the entire month. No matter how perfectly you plan your budget, real life expenses always exceeds expectations. Living under such heavy restrictions becomes extremely difficult, and if you fail to meet your monthly expenses even once, the situation can get worse. In the end, you may even be forced to give up the dream bike you tried so hard to own. So, choose a budget where your EMI stays within 15 to 20% of your monthly salary, and even then it should not feel like a burden when you manage your other expenses. The payment should blend easily into your routine without creating pressure, and if you still believe that buying the bike and paying the EMI is the only cost you need to worry about, then wait until point 4. That is where everything changes and the real picture begins to unfold. Now here is an interesting question. Who was India's first two-wheeler manufacturer? Was it Royal Enfield, Bajaj, TVS or Hero? Write your answers in the comment and I will like the correct one. Moving on to the third step, which is choosing the brand. Many people ignore this part, but that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. You need to understand how well the brand is established and how strong its performance has been over the years. To do this, you must first know how big the brand actually is. Take Royal Enfield for example. It is one of the largest and most influential motorcycle brands in India, with more than 3,000 dealerships spread across major cities, small towns and semi-urban areas. It offers easy access to both service and sales. Its presence is so dominant that in the mid-size motorcycle segment, Royal Enfield sells more than 1 million bikes every year. This clearly shows that the brand's financial condition is strong, stable and very unlikely to fail. Naturally, they continue investing in new models, maintaining a steady supply of spare parts and giving long-term security to anyone who buys their bikes. Royal Enfield also provides excellent support with financing, simple EMI options and even pre-owned purchasing and exchange programs. All these things make it easier for buyers to upgrade or begin their motorcycling journey. A brand that is this organized brings a lot of perks and benefits, and this is exactly what you need to compare with other brands before deciding which one is the best for you. And now we move to the fourth and final part, the darker side of the Indian two-wheeler market. When we talk about reliability, we usually mean a bike that lasts long without demanding too much from the owner. Earlier Indian motorcycles, especially those made before the mid-2010s, were known for being simple, affordable and easy to maintain rather than highly refined. Most commuter bikes used basic engineering, carburetors and minimal electronics, which meant they could be repaired almost anywhere, often by any local mechanic. However, modern Indian bikes from the last 5 to 10 years come loaded with electronics. Even a small fault or a mistake by an unskilled service technician can turn into a much bigger problem. Once you buy a bike, the money you paid does not stop at the showroom. With every service, you continue to spend, and the higher the bike's price, the higher the service charges tend to be. No matter what, you have to pay the bill to keep the bike running smoothly. On top of that, regular maintenance such as tire replacement, oil changes, chain lubrication, brake pad replacement and fuel costs are unavoidable and comes at fixed intervals. So if you are switching from public transport to a two-wheeler thinking it will be cheaper, that assumption is wrong. Even the brands that sell you motorcycles do not earn money only from selling the bike itself. A significant part of their business model depends on after-sales service, where every visit to the service center becomes another source of revenue. The real problem begins when small issues are not fixed properly due to unskilled labor. What starts as a minor fault slowly grows into a major problem, pushing you back to the service center again and again. Each visit comes with a sense of hope that this time the issue will finally be resolved, even though deep down you know it probably won't be. In the end, all that happens is the loss of your money, your time, and your patience, followed by yet another date for the next visit. If you are not ready to this system, be prepared. It can torture you mentally, physically, and financially. The frustration can reach a point where you simply give up hope. After buying a bike, you usually enjoy a honeymoon period of around 3 years where major problems are rare, but once these 3 years pass, new models and facelifts enter the market and suddenly your bike starts feeling old. That's also when service centers begin delaying your service, keeping your bike at the showroom for weeks, often saying that spare parts are not available. Even though your bike is just 3 years old, you are made to feel like it's outdated. Slowly this pushes you towards selling it. As years go by, servicing becomes more difficult, reliability starts declining, spare parts take longer to arrive, and newer models make your bike feel even more obsolete. When you finally decide to sell, the resale value drops sharply. You don't get the price you expect, but you still end up selling it.
अरे मुझे चक्कर आने लग गया अब।
These are the darker realities of the two-wheeler markets based on my experience and understanding. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. I hope this video has given you a clear idea of what life can be like after buying a bike and has prepared you to face these challenges. All the best for your new bike. Ride safe and buy safe. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button and do subscribe for more interesting facts and updates about the Indian two-wheeler market. See you in the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.